Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our webinar. We're excited to share with you some tips on how you can make customer service the growth engine for your business. My name is Shazana Munji. I'm a senior manager here at Salesforce, working with small and medium business customers. And we also have Joe Herdt, head of global customer support from DUFL, on the line with us. Just a note before we start that if you're considering any future developments with us or other providers, please make your purchase decision based on currently available products. And just some housekeeping for the webinar. If you have any questions throughout, that's great because we want to hear from you. Some of you guys have already figured out how to use the chat window where you can ask your questions. Type them in there, and we've saved some time at the end for Q&A. So keep them coming. All right, let's get started. There's been some really great survey data that's come out recently that shows that attracting and retaining customers is a top priority for many small businesses in 2017. And that's great because it shows that small businesses are looking to grow, and they want to do that by creating great customer experiences and growing the customer base. But with all the competing priorities that you have and where you can spend your time and your resources, why should you invest that in a customer service strategy? And how will it really help your bottom line and create an ROI? Well, it pays off to invest. Happy and loyal customers lead to big returns. They're 5 times more likely to repurchase, 7 times more likely to try a new offering, and 4 times as likely to refer another customer. At my job, I get to work with a lot of our small business customers and see some incredible growth that they've had and work with their leaders. And I'm really excited to have one of them join us today because one of the things that we see that's consistent is that they have a different philosophy and how they think about customer service and how they position it within their organizations. And I'm pleased to have Joe Herdt from DUFL. He's a head of global customer support. Join us today to share some of their best practices. Joe, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, welcome to everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. Again, my name is Joe Herdt. I work with DUFL. DUFL is a newer company. We've been open for about 2 years and operating in the market for about 20 months now. We actually provide virtual closet services to business travelers and people that travel all over the world. So we basically will store your clothes in one of our facilities, do all your dry cleaning, your storage, and then we would ship those items basically to the hotel you're staying at or the Airbnb, wherever that's at, and then we'll actually recover it, bring it back to one of our facilities, and do the whole thing again. So that allows basically our customers to travel without luggage, without a carry-on. I personally haven't had a carry-on. I travel a bit myself quite frequently. I haven't had a carry-on for about a year and a half, and it's pretty life-altering. You don't have to worry about connecting planes and what airline you've got to fly on. I typically get on the plane last because I don't have to worry about the overhead bin, so it's pretty nice. In terms of my background, I've been working in logistics and supply chain for about 20 years. I started out as an Air Force officer working in space launch, so I worked with the space shuttle, doing logistics for spy satellites and some other cool stuff. I went to go work for FedEx after I left the military and ended up running their FedEx same-day services division, which is time-critical delivery within hours. So we would deliver organs for transplants and cheesecakes for Fred Smith and all over the place. And then I got recruited by DUFL to help start DUFL. I am the logistics and support guy, so I handle all the customer interactions and transportation. And then the rest of our guys are a lot of software people. We love technology, but I get the challenge and the lovely job of making sure everything works on the ground. So it's been fun and exciting.
Great. And you mentioned a little bit about what DUFL does. Tell us what this means in terms of the impact that you're having with your customers.
Yeah, so we function as a personal valet. So our customers are basically road warriors. We call them duffel heads. They travel 2 to 3 times a month on average. So they're in a different city every other week. And our goal there is to make sure that we're supporting their travel so they get their time back. So the average duffel head saves about 3+ hours because they don't have to worry about packing, they don't have to worry about cleaning. They don't have to drag their stuff to and from the airport. It's there waiting for them. So it's kind of a life support product out there that's nice. We're first to market, so we're kind of inventing an industry that doesn't really exist. Currently, right now, we have a 99% customer retention rate. So once people start joining it and using us, they don't want to leave. And in the last 18 months, we delivered to 26 different countries. So we deliver all throughout Canada, the U.S., major cities in Asia, major cities in Europe. So pretty much everywhere, if there's a big city, we can try to get your bag there. We do use FedEx and UPS and a lot of the other providers out there, but we also have a network of couriers that can do specialty work. We support cruise lines, for example. And our on-time performance rating as of end of last year was 99.8%. So we're actually more reliable than the airlines getting your bag to where it needs to get to. And then we actually offer additional services as that. So we can, shine your shoes, and we just launched the DUFL store last weekend. We talk about it a little bit later on. So we're always looking for new ideas and new ways to service customers. And our attitude at the company is basically service first. So if the customer's happy, then we're happy, and that's what grows our business.
Awesome. I think you have something special for everyone that's on the webinar.
Yeah, so if you sign up here in the next couple weeks, you can actually get your first DUFL trip for free. Just use that promo code that's listed on the screen when you sign up, and we'll be more than happy. You can test out DUFL with no cost and try us out.
Perfect. And for those folks on the call, if you don't travel that much, but you know somebody at your company that does, share this code. I'm sure that they will be very thankful for getting it. All right, Joe, when we had a chance to catch up and really talk about what you're doing at DUFL, there were 5 main things that jumped out at me that you're doing differently to shift the mindset of customer service to really being an ROI machine and like being able to help drive growth. So I think that's what we want to spend our time with, is talking about some of these 5 things that you're doing. Let's go into the first one, and that's how you guys reimagine the role that service plays in sales. So today, the role of a traditional customer service rep is really thinking about retention, right? Sales and marketing primarily focus in on demand generation and being able to help close deals. And customer service are the folks that just help with that problem, right? They pick up the phone and customer has a complaint or question, and they just focus on that problem at hand. But we're seeing that savvy businesses are evolving the role of customer service and rethinking what the role of those reps are and shifting the mindset to being more around customer success. When you have a chance to talk to somebody and about what their problem is, you end up learning so much that can add value into that life cycle and the sales cycle, right? It's discovery that I think even some salespeople wish that they had time with the customers to talk through. Talk to us a little bit about how DUFL sees the role of customer service in the life cycle.
Yeah, so for us, we're a service force company, so we're all about taking care of the customer. That's really our product. And we view our customer support, we call them concierges. So we have a concierge desk, and that's what we treat them as. Our goal is they're the face of the company. That's who customers are interacting with. Yeah, we have salespeople, we have traditional marketing people and all that stuff. But on a day-to-day basis, the people interacting with our customers are our support people, our concierges. They're out there talking and they're following up with customers and identifying problems proactively and trying to take care of the guests as best as they can. And that gives us the opportunity to learn about our customers and make sure, one, they're happy, but also learn from them about what services that they want and what do they want DUFL to do for them that we're not doing now. And that's why we have that 99% retention rate, because our support people are actually, becoming a personal valet for a lot of our customers. And we see that day in and day out where customers call in and say, no, I want to talk to Sharice because that's who helped me out last week. And so they start relying on our staff basically to make sure that their travel is going the way it's supposed to be doing. And if they have, specific requests, and it could be something simple as, hey, I'm changing hotels, then it might be directed. Something more special like, hey, I want, is there a way for you to put champagne in my room and coordinate with the hotel? So we get most of our new leads and referrals through support because we're a small startup still, and people are still telling their friends and family about us, and that's our best way of advertising, quite frankly. And so we use that, and our support people even ask their frequent customers, hey, should we be reaching out to anybody else in your organization? Should we be, are there ways that we can, facilitate you getting the word out about Duffel? And we've been very successful about that. On the flip side of that, because we consider our concierge people sales people, more or less, now we have a mechanism where we can actually motivate them and grow them into salespeople. And we can basically we do have performance enhancement projects. We have, they can actually earn incentives through the support that they give to customers. And that helps us retain talent and kind of keep the best of the best.
Yeah, no, Joe, this is great. And I think, that conversation about how regardless if you're a B2B or a B2C business, being able to keep that channel open between sales and service, like all the great notes and the discovery that you might get from those conversations becomes so vital. All right, let's go to tip number two, sorry. Jumping the gun. And that is, you talk a lot about how Duffel really tries to be where their customers are. And when you look today, the channels for customer service have really changed, right? They've evolved. So way back when, it used to be that table stakes were just having a 1-800 number where a customer could call in. And then it shifted to customers wanting to be able to interact with you through email. Then they started to taking to social media where they go and voice their concerns and want to get questions answered through channels like Twitter and Facebook. And then we saw this rise of people don't even want to talk to you. They want to be able to just search for the information themselves, being able to go online and then also interact with other customers that are using the product and services and learn new ideas and share best practices. And the latest trend now is delivering service through mobile messaging. And this is being able to interact and respond to customers on channels like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. And Joe, we had a pretty good laugh about this the other day when we were talking. And I was telling you about, 3 years ago when I used to look at my phone bill, the first thing that I was really concerned about was how many voice minutes that I had, right? Like that was the decision criteria that I made when I was picking a phone plan. How many minutes do I get? And now when I look at my phone bill and really picking my plan, I'm thinking about how much data do I have and how many messages that I can send. Just seeing that shift in terms of like from a personal perspective on how I use my phone and want to interact just goes to show that businesses, regardless of what industry you're in, you constantly need to be challenging this idea of how you need to interact with customers. Joe, tell us a little bit about how Duffel and the process that Duffel has gone through to figuring out what channels make the most sense to interact with your customers on.
Yeah, so when we started the company, and I'll take the hit for this, I expected it to be a lot like my FedEx background, which is phone calls. So we spent a lot of time finding the right kind of phone system and a very complicated CTI system that interacted so we knew who the customer was and all these bells and whistles. And then we opened our doors and realized that customers didn't want to call us, which was kind of a shock. What they wanted to do was text us. And the majority of that is we have an app on the phone, and that's who most of our customers interact with, the app on the phone. And they're busy people, and they're traveling all over the planet, and they basically said, we don't want to talk to anybody, we just want to text, and we want an immediate response. So we very quickly had to go and build a tech support solution into the CRM and into our phone app as well, and that has become the main channel. So we're looking at what our customers need, and we're constantly doing surveys now on what's the best way to communicate with you. If you looked at our numbers internally, about 90% of our communication with customers is via text and email, and only 10% is via the phone, which is a dynamic shift from my personal background. But it shows, kind of how the customers changed in the last 5 years. And then we spent a lot of time mapping that process out so we're effective. How can we best get do they want asynchronous text? Do they want real-time chat? Those are some things we're looking at too, which is how on the spot do we need to be, or can customers wait a couple minutes to get a response? And so we're always quizzing the customer to see what kind of feedback we're getting on how we're supporting them, and then we're looking at what do we need in the future. We think, for example, you know, real-time video chat will be probably something that we're looking for in the future to embed that in the app, so customers can show us, what they're experiencing, or if they want to talk face to face. We're looking at that. We're also looking at communities, which is a big, that's an opportunity for us to let other Duffel customers talk to themselves. With even now, yeah, it's self-help and it helps them out, but it's actually growing a community of Duffel heads across the country. We're seeing how we can use that technology to kind of let our customers help themselves, but also interact with other customers that are using Duffel and maybe make that a networking tool.
Yeah, no, I think this is great, Joe. And to me, the point that jumps out the very strongly is number one, right? What do your customers need it to look like? And being able to ask the right questions and like just getting out there and talking to customers. So again, regardless of B2B or B2C, that conversation just needs to happen, and it's not static. It's something that you need to do on a constant basis. And Joe, you were saying that what you guys now have is surveys, right? That you send out to customers.
Yeah, we use a lot of surveys. So when you take your trip, similar to what an airline does, if you've flown recently, you'll get a survey that says, how was your trip? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What could we do better? We take that very seriously. We want that feedback. And the other thing we also do is every phone call is recorded in our system, so we spot check those, to make sure, how are customers doing? What are they saying? And we're constantly getting that feedback from them to see how we define a product and how we basically grow upon them and give them services that they need and want. And that's how we're responding to customers, and that's what keeps us growing, basically.
Yeah, so I think like making this a priority in terms of like within the business, like making sure that there's time to meet and time to have the conversation about like even like on a whiteboard, what that customer experience is that they expect, like even on a quarterly basis, is like very important to be able to do. Great. Tip number 3 that we talked about, and that is how you guys try to personalize every interaction. So for a job, I mean, customer service, most people consider it that in order to really create a loyal, happy customer, you need to surprise and delight, right? Go above and beyond and do something really fantastic. I think we all love those, airline commercials where they do some really exciting things for people at Christmas, things like that. But it doesn't have, like, customers just at the most basic level want you to know who they are when they call in or contact you, and for you to really understand like what they're trying to achieve. But for most customers, they would say that companies don't have context to the last conversation that they had with you. And that's because most of those conversations are stored in emails or a spreadsheet or Google Docs, even file folders in some cases when you might be looking at orders and POs, things like that. So when they contact you, it becomes very difficult for whoever it is that's responding to them to really have the full picture to be able to create that personalized experience. Joe, tell us about what you guys are doing at Duffel and how you think about personalization.
Yeah, and this was kind of a mind opener to me. When I was with FedEx, obviously we were a much larger organization, and we cared about customers. Don't get me wrong, but what I've noticed since I started with Duffel is that all customers are important, and we really carry that philosophy through. And that's maybe a small business, medium-sized business philosophy. And what I mean by that is we don't know who the customer on the end of the phone is. And how important they are to the business overall. Are they a CEO, or are they a guy that has 1,000 Twitter followers that can tweet about us? So we go above and beyond and try to actually treat all of our customers with a personalized touch. That starts with when they email us or they call us and text for support. Our systems will automatically notify their account, what phone number they're calling from. We have CTI systems and we have tech support CRM through Salesforce, and all that stuff. And that allows us to really take care of them in a way that they're not accustomed to. And some of that small stuff, like when they call in to say, "Hey, I checked in the hotel and they can't find my luggage at the moment. Can you help me out with?" And we already know who the customer is, and we know what hotel they're staying at, and we can immediately make that phone call for them, and that becomes a 30-second interaction versus them having to say, "Here's who I am, and here's my account, and here's where I'm at." That really delights the customer because now we're a value to them at that point because we're helping them solve a problem immediately. That's a huge one there. And then we also try to offer those personalized services to the extent we can. We have certain customers that want to go green, for example. Duffel as itself, you get a suitcase, it's got tissue paper, everything's steam pressed, it looks like the brand new clothes. A lot of our customers want to go green, and so they said, we don't want all the tissue paper, we don't want the plastic on the shoes. So we basically have that personalized for them to say, for your duffel, when you get at the hotel, you want your shirts hung on a hanger, so you can just pull them up and hang them in the closet, or you want your shirts folded with collar stays embedded in them. And so that personalization at the account level, that's really important to us, and that's what gives us white glove service to the customers. And again, that's what they've come to expect. Because we consider ourselves a luxury product, and we kind of want to maintain that, and that's personalizing the service. That's really what it comes down to. To get to that, we need visibility, and that's why we like our systems now, because it gives us the visibility to the customer. What interactions? Do they have personal notes in their account? Did they have a bad experience with Duffel the last time? So this time, maybe the concierge can make sure there's a bottle of champagne waiting in the room for them on their next trip. That kind of stuff all pays forward. So, even if they have a less than rewarding experience, the next time we make sure we make up for it. So we're proving value time and time again to the customer.
Yeah, Joe, you said something right now that really jumped out at me, and that's around like the white glove service. And this is actually something that's already come up in the Q&A. Is that how do you scale that personalization as you start to grow? And something that jumped out, like when you said the white glove service, and you mentioned preferences around how they want their shirts pressed, right, and folded. And part of like the challenge with personalization is just really keeping track of what people want, because you have folks that are going to be pressing and folding those shirts. So just with them having instant access to be able to just know like the way that they should do it is the biggest, like probably 80% of the challenge. They don't care who's doing that pressing or who's folding it, just as long as it arrives the way that they expect it. And when it does, it's such a surprise and delight moment that kind of, to a certain degree, was no skin off your back because it didn't add any more to the process of what you needed to already do.
Yeah, and we customize and personalize as much as possible. That doesn't mean we can fulfill every request because it does have to be scalable. So we look for areas that are repeatable and we can build a process around. So then we can tell our guys that are actually packing the clothes, for example, and have systems in place that spit out, hey, this closet needs to be folded and these sheets need to be pressed, and we have codes for those. That's what makes it scalable. We will do one-off requests. We get a lot of them. This one time, I want to ship my competition bicycle to France, and how do I get it there? We do a lot of one-offs. But from the personalization part, we try to systematically put process around that and make it repeatable. And our theory there is if one customer wants it that way, there's probably more. So how do we go out and find those other customers that want it? And then we can offer that as an additional service to them as well. And again, that's how we use support as well. So our theory is one guy wants it, there's probably 10 more like him that want the same thing. Who are those other 9? And how do we communicate to them to sign them up for the program as well?
Absolutely. All right, let's jump to tip number 4. I won't pick favorites, but this is definitely at the top of my list, and that's how you use data to be able to find opportunities. So, like anything, to really go fast forward, you can't do that when you're constantly looking at the rearview mirror. So this was just such a great analogy that I remember talking to one of our customers, somebody else with, and they were just saying that when they're looking at data that's a month old or even a couple weeks old, they can't react fast enough to move at the pace that their customers need them to in identifying these new opportunities. And that happens when you're not using systems and you're using things like Google Docs and spreadsheets and things like that, where information's stored but not constantly analyzed real time. Tell us, I know you have some really great stories here. So tell us about how you're using customer service data to really find new ways to grow your business.
Yeah, so we list, we're data heavy. I mean, we're a bunch of software engineers that started a company. Um, so basically, everything we do is around data. And it's very scary because we have a lot of it, and we're kind of big brothery because at Duffel, you know, we know what's in your closet, we know what your favorite shirt is, we know what colored patterns you like in your clothes, all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff we do with that data in terms of sales and e-commerce and stuff, but in terms of support, what we're looking for is what is there a pattern out there that we can garner from a customer and then develop a product or a service around. So one of the ideas that popped up early on was we had a lot of customers requesting whether we could shine their shoes. So they sent us back their shoes and their suitcase, and they said, "Hey, my shoes are scuffed up. Can you guys shoot?" And so we used the data we had through Salesforce, and we just said, "How many times does this request come up?" And you can actually run a query on that pretty easily. And it kicks back and said, "Hey, we have 60 customers that want shoe shines. We should offer that as a product." So we just rolled that out and said, "Yeah, we can roll that. You can shine your shoes. Here's what that costs. If you want to sign up for the service, it's great." And we're constantly doing that stuff. Over the weekend, we rolled out the Duffel store that lets you buy toiletries and toothbrushes and deodorant and stuff like that to throw right into your closet because customers kept telling us, "I need a new toothbrush. Can you guys get that?" Or I'm out of soap. Can I throw some soap in there? And so we built an entire store and an e-commerce platform basically to support customers so they can buy toiletries so they don't have to run out to Walgreens, during their trip. And that just got launched this weekend, but we're already seeing some nice results from that. Where people are buying everything from mouthwash to our Duffel Bits partners and food and energy drinks and that kind of stuff to throw in their suitcase. Again, we're looking at how do we use that data. The other thing on a support standpoint is our systems act real time to outside input like FedEx, for example, where we're tied into FedEx APIs. So if your Duffel's delayed, we know about it way before you even probably take off on a plane or before you land on the ground. So we can proactively develop a solution and either interject ourselves into that transportation solution and expedite the package to the hotel, or we can communicate with you before you even jump on your plane and say, "Hey, there's been an issue. Here's what we can do about it. We can send you some other stuff, or you can pack a quick bag and we'll get your bag within a couple hours." But the data is what lets us do that, so we can proactively manage the business, but also identify what are customers wanting from us, so we can adapt new products, and obviously that creates more revenue for us.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the shoe shine example was a great one in terms of how you can generate new business ideas on new offerings to customers. I recently worked with a customer that they deliver fruit to offices, and they were shipping bananas out in their box out to customers in the Northeast, and they were getting a lot of complaints about the deliveries. The bananas were actually coming in a little bit bruised. And very quickly, because they were able to see all of that data and see that they were getting several complaints from customers in the Northeast about these bananas, and they have daily reviews on the customer data that they have coming in. One of their reps actually remembered her boba telling her that bananas don't if they're out in the cold, they actually bruise a lot faster. So what they were able to do was stop the immediate shipment of including bananas to all their other customers in the Northeast to really be able to prevent that from becoming an issue from other people, and they replaced them with apples. So that was just an idea of like this idea of pulling in real-time data to be able to shift your strategy quickly. All right. Tip number 4, Joe, tip number 5 that you talked to me about was really being able to think about future-proofing your investment. So if you want customer service to become an ROI, what are the things that you think about when you're really choosing that solution? So I hate to pull a book from David Letterman's top 10, but I have mine that we pulled together with customers. And these are the capabilities that you really want to consider in the solution that you pick. And make sure that it's something that you can grow into. The first one is making sure that it gives you a single view of your customers. So this is across sales, service, and marketing. You want to make sure everyone can be able to see the same information. You want it to have omni-channel capabilities. And really what that means is that it's able to pull in all the cases and requests that are coming in, whether they be through email, social, SMS messaging. You want it to be able to pull it all into a single view. You also want to have self-service capabilities so that you can build that out even through your website, and being able to have customers get answers themselves and have a quick safety relief valve if they need to get an answer from somebody and they just can't find what they're looking for. You also want the technology to have a knowledge base so that as you're starting to answer free questions, other agents can see the answers also. So if you have somebody new that's joined, they don't have to spend as much time trying to search for and ask people to answer. They can go in and find out answers that we've given before in the past. You also want to have collaboration. And this is whether it be on your teams internally, where they're able to share information about that customer or that account, and even collaboration with your customers and amongst your customers themselves. You want to make sure that that tool offers you that capability. Of course, analytics is important. We just talked about that. You want to make sure that you have access to real-time data in visualizations and reports so you can quickly pivot and change your strategy as you need to. Of course, mobile access is definitely part of the top 10. You want to make sure that your agents can be able to give support wherever they are and on any device. And another big one is integration. We know that everyone's business is slightly different, so you want to make sure that the tool is capable of integrating with different systems and has access to different apps that integrate seamlessly. And at Salesforce, we have what we call the App Exchange, where there's thousands of different apps that connect in seamlessly so that you can customize to the workflow of your business. You want to make sure it's cost effective, something that's in the cloud where you don't have to make heavy investments into hardware and software and worrying about maintenance and upgrades. At Salesforce here, we roll out automatic upgrades 3 times a year to all our customers to make sure that you have access to the latest and greatest. And the last one that's really important is making sure that it's a proven and trusted solution, that there are other small businesses that are using it and seeing success. And these are the top 10 that we've come up with working with our customers in terms of why they choose. But definitely this is not stuff that you might be able to do all at once. You just want to make sure that you're on a platform that has the ability to scale as you grow. Now, Joe, I know that you have some tips on how you guys think about this at DUFL.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time developing strategy, and what do we want systems to do, and how do we want that form before we go out and purchase anything. We spent a good 3 months just figuring out what CRM system we wanted, for example, to see what was most scalable and what had the options for today, but also for 3 years from now. Is that going to be something that's going to be useful for us and fit our business needs? So we spent a lot of time developing strategy. Just jumping in there, we still do that. We're big components of single customer view and collaboration. That's really the core of our business. That's what lets us support customers. For us, it's important that you might not talk to the same concierge day in and day out, but you should have the same. They should all have your account information available to them, so that you can see what what your past conversation was with the last concierge. And that lets us provide seamless service across shifts, obviously, but it also lets us really support the customer and kind of narrow down and see what they're doing. And then our salespeople can also then go into that database and query those customers as well, and that data to see what that gives us that single collaborated platform to work from, so we're not siloed, and that's really key for us. That's a top priority, and we're really focused in on single view and integrating systems. And the last one is how do we generate new ideas and adapt, and we're always querying the data again to see what products and services should we be offering. Is something not working? Something simple like we just launched the DUFL store. We're already looking at what products are selling, what products aren't selling. So, should we be offering, we're running surveys out, hey, we just launched a store on the weekend. Are there products in there that you'd like to see that aren't in there now? And then we feed those responses back into the CRM, so we can marketing query that, and sales can query that, and ops can query that, and see what's feasible for us to move forward on. And that's really an iterative process. It's always ongoing, but that's kind of how we're growing the business, and that's kind of what we're focusing in on, so we can get the next strategy and 2 years down the line. And we're confident now that the systems that we have are scalable. We don't have everything that we want yet, but we feel like there's enough out there that we can add to it, and then so we don't have to constantly change CRM and solutions moving down the line.
Great. Joe, why did you pick Salesforce? Why was that a good fit for you?
For us, it was the most scalable product out there. We looked at Zendesk and we looked at some other models out there. We felt that one, we were gonna develop the app in a Heroku model, which is a Salesforce product, and so it kind of all fit together. And for us, it was important that everything just kind of worked together, so we weren't spending time and resources trying to make things fit, and we could focus on what's important to us in terms of growing the business. We're, as a company culture, we'd rather build things that are value added that only we can build. So we have a bunch of software developers. Our back-end IMS systems and inventory management, all that's customized, and we do things in logistics that just no other company does because we had to go build it. But for the front end, for the customer support piece, there wasn't a big drive. It didn't make any sense for us to kind of spend resources and time developing that. We just found best in class and said this is what we think is going to be most scalable. You mentioned the apps. That was a big thing to us. Could we integrate CTI? Could we integrate a text-based support system? Do they all fit? Do we have to spend time? How intensive is it to add functionality to the system as we get bigger? So we looked at all that kind of stuff, and Salesforce for us was the best fit. And as you mentioned, we're getting ready to go live in Tokyo here in a couple months. And one of the things we looked at just recently is how do we convert Salesforce and Desk.com to support Japanese. So the fact that you can actually just basically flip a button and make Desk.com function in Japanese supports us pretty well. So now we can have support people in Japan who actually can use the same systems, and the system will actually convert it language-wise. So the people in the U.S. can see what the people in Japan are doing, and vice versa. And that, to us, that's a key component.
Great, thanks, Joe. All right, so those were the 5 main tips that I learned from my conversations with DUFL and Joe. We're going to open up for some Q&A, so if you have any questions, please share them in the chat window. Joe, we have one here that is, what are the metrics that you look at to measure the ROI of service for your business?
Yeah, we have a system called SQI, or Service Quality Indexes, and we're measuring a couple main KPIs, but they kind of break down to the number of support interactions to the number of products or trips. That's a key one for us, and the idea behind that is if support is interacting with customers more frequently, then we should see better response from those customers. And so we measure that a lot. We also measure what we call first contact resolution through case management. So if a customer calls in and opens a case, we want to make sure that the person that originally took that case and took that initial query is the person closing that out and how fast they can close that out. So we measure that in terms of an ROI on staff, but also just on contact resolution with the customer. And then, the other big one that we measure is, the standard, some of the standard support resources on, number of cases and number of calls handled, and, are we being efficient and effective on that? And, how can we streamline that process? So, for example, if we notice that a lot of customers are calling in for a specific issue on how the app works, can we develop a tutorial, a video tutorial basically, and throw that on the website to then, support that customer, but also limit the amount of, staff we have to use to support that and let them self-service themselves. So we spend a lot of time analyzing why are customers calling, and we use reason codes and everything else that are in Salesforce at the case level, so we can kind of drill that down to see, what's going on and how we can better support the customer.
That's great. I think you started to answer another question somebody had around being able to use educational videos and incorporating that into self-service. Another question, combined one, is how many support requests do you typically get in a day? And how do you think about how you need to staff that to create that responsiveness that you're looking for?
Yeah, support requests, you can kind of think of it as basically the same way, from a call center staffing. We have a case that gets opened either by the system and the way our systems are set up now, if the customer texts us or calls us or, sends us an email, it opens a case in Salesforce. So we have a record of that interaction with the customer. And then we monitor that, and we put an SLA on the close of those cases as well and the case type. And so we'll staff based on the metrics of, we think that we're getting, between the hours of 9 o'clock and 4 o'clock, we get this many cases, and we think we're going to need this many people to, respond to customers in a timely fashion. And then at, between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. in the morning, we don't have a lot going on, so we have, limited staff. And we use that, and we're constantly evaluating that. Obviously, we're growing pretty dramatically, so, our staffing is increasing. And so we're always looking for how do we streamline that so we don't have people sitting around, and then we have enough people when they need it. So we staff it just like you would in a normal call center based on call volume, where we're just using cases basically as the customer contact tool as opposed to a phone call into a Mitel system or an Avaya system, for example.
Great. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know that we're hitting the end of the webinar. I want to thank everyone today for joining us. And Joe, huge thanks for all your help and the insights that you shared today. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.